How to Find Your True Self. A deep dive into Nietzsche's philosophy of existentialism. Friedrich Nietzsche, a German philosopher, has long been considered one of the most revolutionary and challenging thinkers in modern philosophy. His ideas have shaped existentialism, a philosophical movement that grapples with questions of meaning, individual freedom, and the role of human beings in a seemingly indifferent or even chaotic universe. Nietzsche rejected conventional beliefs and societal norms, advocating for a philosophy that empowered the individual to find their own meaning and purpose in life. Nietzsche's revolutionary view of existence. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy lies a radical rethinking of life's meaning. He famously declared that life does not inherently possess meaning or purpose. The universe itself offers no grand design, and any meaning we ascribe to our lives is something we must create ourselves. This view is central to existentialism, a philosophy that explores how individuals navigate an existence that may often feel absurd or directionless. Nietzsche's rejection of the traditional moral systems that had dominated Western thought was profound. He criticized Christianity, moral absolutism, and the herd mentality that he felt had stifled individual creativity and authenticity. According to Nietzsche, the individual has always faced the challenge of resisting the influence of the tribe society's norms, traditions, and collective expectations. It is easy to succumb to the pressures of conformity, but Nietzsche insisted that this was a path to personal stagnation. Embrace individuality. Over conformity. Nietzsche's philosophy urges us to embrace individuality, even when it means stepping away from the comfort of the group. He believed that true growth and self-discovery could only happen when we resist the pull of herd mentality. As he wrote, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. This emphasis on individuality reflects Nietzsche's broader critique of herd morality, a set of values that prioritize conformity, comfort, and safety above all else. Herd morality, according to Nietzsche, often leads to mediocrity and the suppression of human potential. In contrast, Nietzsche advocated for master morality, a system that champions individual achievement, self-assertion, and the pursuit of one's highest potential. Master morality requires courage and a willingness to take risks, even when it goes against the grain of societal norms. Life struggles. A path to personal growth. One of Nietzsche's most famous aphorisms is, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This idea encapsulates his view of life's struggles and challenges as essential to personal growth. Nietzsche believed that we grow and develop by facing difficulties, embracing discomfort, and overcoming obstacles. The more we struggle, the more we become our true selves. Nietzsche's concept of living dangerously encourages us to confront life head-on, without seeking refuge in false security. The pursuit of self-knowledge and self-actualization demands that we venture into the unknown, challenge social conventions, and defy the expectations placed upon us by society and family. Nietzsche wrote, "For believe me, the secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously." This doesn't mean recklessly throwing caution to the wind, but rather rejecting a life of complacency and embracing the discomfort that comes with striving for higher goals and deeper self-understanding. Whether it's challenging social norms or venturing into unfamiliar territory, Nietzsche's vision of life is one where we are actively engaged in the process of self-overcoming, rejecting societal norms and finding your own path. A key component of Nietzsche's existential philosophy is the rejection of societal norms. He observed that, for much of human history, people have lived their lives according to external expectations rather than their own desires and values. This, he argued, led to a kind of spiritual slavery. People went through the motions of life without ever truly questioning or exploring their deeper selves. In a world that constantly bombards us with external pressures to conform, whether through religion, politics, culture, or family expectations. Finding one's true self requires a radical departure from the norms that have been handed down. Nietzsche suggested that we must reject the conventional paths that society offers, such as pursuing wealth, status, or power for their own sake. Instead, we must engage in deep self-reflection and forge our own path, grounded in personal values and authenticity. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, or overman, represents the ideal individual who has transcended these societal limitations and embraced a higher form of existence. The overman is someone who takes full responsibility for their life and creates their own meaning in a world that offers no inherent purpose. The overman is not swayed by the judgments or expectations of others, but lives with authenticity and self-determination. Identify your true values. One of the most critical steps in Nietzsche's philosophy is the identification of one's true values. In a world that often pressures us to adopt the values of others, whether those of our family, our culture, or our society, it is essential to identify what truly resonates with us. Nietzsche believed that when we align our actions with our values, we experience a sense of fulfillment and purpose that transcends external validation. The philosopher asserted that he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. This means that when we find a deep personal purpose for our lives, we are better equipped to handle the inevitable hardships and struggles that life throws our way. Whether it is pursuing a career that aligns with our passions, nurturing relationships that are meaningful, or striving for personal growth, the identification and pursuit of one's true values can provide a guiding light in an otherwise chaotic world. The danger of herd mentality. Nietzsche was deeply critical of the herd mentality that dominated society. He argued that when individuals fall into the comfort of collective thinking, they lose their ability to think critically and independently. Herd mentality, Nietzsche suggested, often leads to groupthink, irrational behavior, and a lack of personal accountability. This collective irrationality, as Nietzsche put it, was dangerous because it silenced dissenting voices and hindered progress. In his work Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche famously wrote, "In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule." This observation highlights the dangers of conformity and the loss of individuality within large groups. For Nietzsche, true personal freedom and authenticity could only be achieved by breaking free from the collective mindset and embracing one's own thoughts, beliefs, and desires. The concept of eternal recurrence. One of Nietzsche's most provocative and controversial ideas is the concept of eternal recurrence. This idea suggests that life repeats itself infinitely, and that every action, every moment will be lived over and over again for all eternity. Rather than viewing this repetition as a curse, Nietzsche encourages us to embrace it as a call to live fully and authentically in the present. If you were to live your life over and over, would you make the same choices? Would you live with the same regrets, or would you choose a different path? The concept of eternal recurrence challenges us to reconsider how we approach life. It forces us to confront the possibility that we may be living in ways that do not reflect our true desires or values. Nietzsche's invitation to embrace this idea with joy and enthusiasm is central to his philosophy. By accepting both the joy and suffering of life as part of the eternal cycle, we are called to live in a way that affirms every moment, regardless of the challenges or setbacks we may face. Amor fati, love your fate. Closely tied to the idea of eternal recurrence is Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, or love of fate. This idea encourages us to embrace every aspect of our existence, both the good and the bad, as necessary components of our journey. In this view, suffering and hardship are not things to be avoided, but experiences that can lead to personal growth and transformation. By adopting an attitude of amor fati, we learn to celebrate the challenges of life rather than resent them. It is through these challenges that we find our true selves and grow into the person we are meant to be. Nietzsche's philosophy calls us to accept our fate with open arms and to make the most of every moment, even in the face of adversity. The Overman, the ideal of self-actualization. At the core of Nietzsche's existential philosophy is the idea of the Overman, or Superman. The Overman is an individual who has transcended the limitations of conventional morality and societal expectations, creating their own values and shaping their own destiny. The Overman is not defined by external forces but by an inner drive to overcome obstacles, to push beyond the status quo, and to realize their fullest potential. The Overman embodies Nietzsche's call for self-overcoming, the continuous process of becoming more than what we are. The Overman is not content with mediocrity or comfort. Instead, they seek to live authentically, embracing life's challenges and opportunities for growth. Nietzsche believed that the Overman had the power to reshape history, to influence others, and to inspire future generations to seek their own paths of self-discovery. Conclusion: Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy offers a profound and challenging path to self-discovery. His rejection of traditional morality and his call for individuals to embrace their own values, challenge societal norms, and face life's difficulties head-on provide a blueprint for personal growth and self-actualization. By embracing individuality, living dangerously, identifying our true values, and learning to love our fate, we can begin the journey toward finding our true selves. In a world that often seeks to impose meaning on us, Nietzsche's philosophy reminds us that meaning is something we must create for ourselves. Through the pursuit of self-overcoming, we can achieve the highest form of existence, the Overman. This journey is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to a life of true fulfillment, authenticity, and freedom. Nietzsche's challenge to us is clear: to live fully, to create our own meaning, and to become the best version of ourselves.